segment we call Chlorine Champions, and it's sponsored by Visual Eyes. Remember to check out Visual Eyes at their 3 locations in Kirep, Trinity, and Shogunas. And we're waiting on Christian Marsden to log in. Christian Marsden is our Chlorine Champion. For today, he is a former Pan Am Games swimmer. He also, all right, I think I'm seeing him there. He also was in the Junior Open Water Championships, also a 3-time 5K winner at the Maracas Open Water. Good evening, Christian, and welcome to Chlorine Callaloo. Christian, I'm not hearing you. No, I'm not hearing you at all. I don't know if are you all hearing me? Hello? No.
Oh.
Yeah, a little. Let's talk again.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, but a little delayed, so not sure.
All right, let me try something.
All right, are you?
How about now?
Good.
Perfect.
Right, so welcome.
Jason,
Christian, when last you went in the pool?
Everybody asks me that every once in a while, and it's probably been about 4 years since I've really touched the water and swam a full lap.
So, all right, so tell me something. So this is the month we normally have the Maracas Open Water. Before we reach the open water part, how did you get involved in swimming? And I'm talking about learning to swim.
So from about 6 years old, I was actually a really good golfer. And coaches used to hear and they tell me I used to talk too much. So they weren't too pleased when I used to go around and, golf is a very concentration-based sport. And went to football after that for a little while, moved around the sports when I was younger, talked too much in football. They didn't like that. And my mom was posed a challenge of what sport could Christian talk the least in. And well, swimming came to mind because, you're underwater. Can't really talk underwater. So she said, perfect, put him in there. He won't talk too much. But she was wrong. I still got around to talking at every break of every lap. So
how often you used to get put out of the water?
I would say fairly often. Fairly often I would get put out. I think my talking definitely got me in some hot water, but it was all for the fun of it, I enjoyed it.
So how you branched off into the open water aspect of it? So
it was about early 2013 that I had swam my first open water event. Prior to that, in 2012, I tried to enter the Maracas 5K. Did not actually get through because I was too young at the time. So I was going on vacation with my mother and my family, and there came an opportunity there was an open water event in Barbados, and hadn't heard of it, but I was open to it. It was a 5 kilometer. Any age can participate, and I had never done one in my entire life, and that was the first one I entered. And to be honest, I don't know if I can remember what I came, but I remember it being still one of the hardest races I had done in my life, even with Pan Am, even with World Junior Championships. But it was the start of something I think that I was really passionate about.
So when you realize that, hey, Christian not just coming and talking in the pool, he probably could do something more than talk. When did you realize that in your career?
I don't think I ever really came to the full realization that I was going so many places and doing so many things until I looked back and heard from others, how much I had done. It never really hit me until I almost saw the record, saw an individual and they would say, man, Christian, can't believe you did this and did that. And I would say, man, yeah, I really did that. When you're in the moment of going through competitive swimming and, doing international tours and competing, and you don't really ever have time to really sit down and say, wow, look what I've accomplished. And even more so after hearing individuals, it only took me until after I retired from swimming to really digest the magnitude of impact I had on open water. I really did not know that I had done so much in such a short time. You know, a lot of people had always mentioned it, but it never hit me until I really sat back and said, you know, I took a breather and said, look at what you've accomplished and how far you've come, you know. So it never sank in during the moment, but after it, you really do appreciate it.
So you use the R word there, retired. How? I mean, you're not looking like a retiree. So how you move from being going to Pan Am, the World Juniors, doing the Maracas and all those things, and when did you decide to hang up those goggles, and why?
Good question. It took me, so I went to Pan Am game 2015. I did really well. I placed, I think 10th, I believe. Went on to then do the World Championships the following year, the Junior World Championships in the Netherlands. Did extremely well. Was very proud of myself. And then I had gotten an opportunity to actually compete at the final Olympic qualifier in Portugal for the men's 10-kilometer marathon for the Rio Games. And you know, I trained so hard, got so far to only come up short by a tricep tear about maybe 2 months before the event. And it was the first point in my life where I had really had to stop and say, you know, you're vulnerable, you're overworking, you're tired, you know. I really felt the emotion come down at that moment. That was really the defining moment where I stepped back and said, you know, you may not be tired physically, but you're tired mentally. Your body may still want to keep going, even with an injury, but look at you, you know, you're broken. I was just in a very, I think, beaten place mentally. I had been training for hours, you know, waking up countless mornings, going to school, lessons, you know, CXC, training on an evening. I didn't even have time to ask how I was doing, you know, internally rather than how my body was doing. And even my body could show signs of wear and tear. I mean, I don't know that a tricep tear is very common in swimming. So that was something that I thought, you know, was a real defining moment of how much can you take of this, you know, physically and mentally. You know, it was really starting to beat me down. And I would never say it got the better of me. I would say that I weighed my options looking forward and decided that I can put a pause on this portion of my life that I'd already done so much in and look forward to other ventures and avenues.
So is it that this pause that you took, was it before college? Did you try to swim in college at all, or?
It was actually, I was still training. I had actually dropped the mileage quite a bit. I was still training leading up to college, and I had gotten into my school of choice by academics. And the coach had originally said, you know, you can only get in once you've gotten into the school, to the swim team. So I said, no problem. I got into the school on my own accord, and I joined the swim team. I trained for maybe about, I would say, 3 weeks. And I, you know, a coach that I had not known very well, I went to him and I said, Coach, I really have something to tell you. I don't think I've ever told anybody this in my life. And I sat down with him for about an hour and talked to him, and he just was very open and understanding of the situation. I think he must have experienced this before in other summers, and he was very reassuring of the fact that this is not it. This is not the be all and end all. If you don't, you know, life is too short to not do what you want to do. So, you know, if you want to take a break, swimming will always be there. Explore your options in this life. And I think that was something I took with me and kept it with me through up to this day, you know, that I'm doing things that I really enjoy right now. I keep my same work ethic with swimming. So that's something that I really take with me along the way of any venture I do in my life is the way I worked in sport. So I felt very reassured and confident moving forward, you know, getting these words from that coach.
I think we were talking offline and you were telling me that, you know, at first that people should look at swimming as for health and fitness and health and wellness as opposed to competition. You want to explain a little bit about that?
I think, and this may not even be just a local problem. I think it's maybe a regional and maybe a global problem that certain sports are just looked at in a very competitive point of view rather than a health point of view. And from the earliest age of swimming, I mean, you get in there, and if you have some kind of promising talent, they move you into the competitive group. And from, you know, eight years and under, you're just put through this cycle of, you know, you go up the age groups, you compete in XYZ, meets, you do your times, and if you make it to a Goodwill at a young age, you did great. If you make it to a Crafter or a CISC or CC Can at an old age, you did great. And that is just a common cycle of the sport in the country from my perspective. I think that there's so much more untapped potential of what swimming can do for a nation, building a healthier nation, reducing comorbidities. The sport itself is great and all, but the actual physical activity of doing swimming is so much more rewarding on a health basis that I think it can potentially save lives.
And while you're saying that, this is a little plug to tell people, hey, we open up the pools and the beaches a little bit so people could get out there and get some fresh air and exercise.
Mm-hmm. It's true. I mean, exercise is what I think kept me always going. Even though I stopped swimming, I still, every day I'm active. It's something that is part of my routine and keeps me grounded. It's a foundation. I think keeping active is something that it should be part of eating like a meal. It should be part of your day, at least once.
So I have a question here coming in for you, Christian. You will know when your time is right to return. It's not a question, I think it's a statement.
That's a very nice statement from Mr. Carr, William Carr, I hope I pronounced that correctly. You never know. Your time will always come for something. I think God always has a purpose, and I'll tell everybody something. I never regret my time in swimming because it gave me so many opportunities and it built me to who I am in and out the pool. I think that the ethics, the work ethic, especially the discipline, those are all things that can transcend swimming in such a different way. So I think that I would say that it's invaluable, the experience I've gained in swimming. So my time may come again, my time in something else may come, I am very much open to opportunity.
And Christian, I wanted to give that, we about getting to that time already to wrap up this segment, but we'll have to invite you on because, I mean, you spoke about something. I mean, you didn't say the word, but it seemed like it was burnout that you could have had as an athlete. I wanted to give a word of encouragement to that swimmer, especially at this time where you have those who may be thinking about quitting because they can't swim. Whatever Christian wants to say to a TNT athlete who maybe a little down in the dumps right now and wants some hope.
The one thing I always tell myself is it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to hide those feelings. You can confide in somebody who you're comfortable with. Tell them how you feel, because trust me, it's way better out than in. If you can, express yourself to an individual and really try to relate and understand, it'll just make a huge difference. You'll feel this great sense of, I felt almost like a weight being lifted off my shoulders, for better terms. It was something that was truly relieving when I could finally express how I felt and not hide it for everybody and show this almost like putting on a mask every day, showing some people what I really didn't feel on the inside. And I think any swimmers out there, it's okay to step away, take some time. Swimming will always be there, but your mental health is something that I think is so crucial in everything you do. So please take the time, and ask, and even the parents out there, the coaches, ask your swimmers how they're doing. It's something that will go a long way.
I'd like to thank you, Christian, for sharing this evening with us. We'll have to invite you back because we have on occasion talked about mental health, etc. on this program, and I think it's something that isn't discussed enough. So I'd like to thank you for sharing and continue to keep safe and keep well.
Jason, thank you very much for having me, and to all the swimmers, coaches, parents, we're gonna get through COVID and we're gonna get back to regular programming and keep safe, keep well. The young ones, I heard that some of them are going to Junior Pan American Games very soon. All the best to you all, and to all the young ones coming up and the older ones. Keep your head down. Speak to people. Share yourself and do your best. And anything you do in life.
And you never know, you might see a Christian Marsden at a pool or beach near you soon. You never know.
You might find me. I might be chilling and drinking up there. I don't know if I'll be swimming. You know what I mean? So we don't know about that. So no promises.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for sharing.
Take care.
Thank you. Right. So this was Visual Eyes Chlorine Champions. Remember to check out Visual Eyes at the Kirep, Shogunas, and Trinity locations. And up next, we have Coaches Connection with Daron Samalal Singh and Coach Dean Bowles. Dean Bowles.